Hello and welcome to Newsbreak Chats. Ako po si Chai Hofilenya, ang editor ng Newsbreak, ang investigative section ng Rappler. We're nearing the end of the month and it's time to talk about major issues that erupted in the month of June. So June 30 will mark the third year of President Rodrigo Duterte in office and it invites scrutiny. Makakasama natin ngayong araw na ito si Pia Ranada, who has been covering Malacanang despite the ban, and si Paterno S. Maquel, na nagko-cover naman ng DFA and Foreign Relations, and of course Glenda Gloria, ang aming managing editor. Let's jump into the accomplishments of this administration. Mr. Duterte has been in office. He's been president for 3 years. He's now on his midterm, and people say that he's done quite a lot for the economy. There's a lot of infrastructure that's there, and there's still a lot in the pipeline, and things are looking good. Do you agree? And what's your own assessment?
If you would ask Duterte supporters, which I've been doing for the past few weeks because of this coverage, talagang they feel that he has done, like I asked someone, 90% daw of his promises for this person na accomplished ni Duterte. And for him, it's a checklist. Like the universal healthcare is a big accomplishment for them. Like they think it's a big deal that Duterte, diba, even debated with his cabinet members to get that signed. Yes. Also, the college tertiary, the free college education law is also a big deal for his supporters. Increasing the SSS pension was a big deal. So very populist laws, and so it just affirms for the supporters the notion that Duterte is a man of the people. He will really deliver for the poor, for the ordinary Filipinos, even if it means, pissing off the elites or the bureaucrats in government. So on the other hand, you have critics who tend to look a bit deeper into his policies and his statements. Like the supporters would tend to have faith that what he says, what he means. Whereas Duterte critics kind of take it with a grain of salt and see other things going on underneath. Like for example, his vaunted anti-corruption campaign.
Yes.
People always point out that yes, he may be tough on corruption. Like if he hears of some anomaly, he will kick someone out. But then they ask, how come he brings back certain officials who, for example, were implicated in the Shabu smuggling?
And then they're assigned to another post.
And then for the drug war, whereas his supporters see a bloody, effective campaign, his critics will see human rights abuses and a lack of transparency and impunity on the streets. So
would you say that what he has done, at least in terms of addressing the social issues and the promises that he made, did this also contribute to his popularity, in rating niya in the surveys?
Yes, I think definitely the accomplishments have contributed. It was a record. It was a high number. Based on my tally, it was 81% satisfied with his government, and it was a plus 72 net rating, and his highest score was for protecting the poor, helping the poor. But his lowest score was fighting inflation. So you see that he hits the right points for his populist base, but also he will falter. Like for example, his lowest survey rating was because of the Kian de los Santos teenage killings and the drug war, and it also suffered from inflation. So you can see that there are highs and lows, but it's bounced back to his personal high, according to the SWF survey, just
why
last
is
March.
That? What do you think is the reason for his ability to bounce back? Parang akala mo downward yung trend and then biglang magre-recover siya. To what would you attribute that?
I think a lot of it has to do with his flexibility in addressing certain issues. Like if people throw at him the human rights violations, he's quick to say in his speeches, but the EJKs aren't state-sponsored. So automatically, his base will have a rebuttal to the critics. So parang the base will get a bit agitated because he says something really, really nasty, like maybe a rape joke. But then he will say something like, it's just a joke, I didn't mean it that way, look at my accomplishments, you must judge me by my actions, not by my words. And then he's able to bounce back. And then there are also other factors like the Marawi siege helped him gain back his popularity because it showed him to be like in action, like people tend to rally around the leader when there's a crisis.
Right.
And then secondly, the last approval rating in which he bounced back was largely because of the BOL, the BARM creation, when it was ratified in the plebiscite. So a lot of people were like, he's the only president who was able to get this done after so many administrations. Finally, there's an autonomous region in Mindanao.
He included increases in the wages of soldiers and policemen. Was this a big thing, Glenda?
Oh yeah, definitely.
For the soldiers?
Yes.
Anong impact
Well,
nun?
also not to say that under Aquino naman talagang may mga salary increase, but because a lot of that was felt dito sa panahon ni Duterte. It's a big deal to the soldiers and to the police. He's very popular among the rank and file of both the armed forces and the Philippine National Police. And not only that, the fact that they really have his attention. You know, he goes to every wake of a soldier, who goes to all their events, even if he's late. I mean, he really makes it a point to find time for the armed services. And that's a big deal. And especially coming from Aquino. Si Aquino may konting distansya sa armed forces. Siguro
Yes.
because of the background of the family also. May healthy distance siya. And you could see that there's a walang bonding, but really this president is fully bonded with the armed services.
Pero I guess yung pagiging dating mayor was also a big thing. Kung baga, sanay ka na you're on the ground, you're attending all these wakes, you're talking to ordinary people, yung masa, and ngayon presidente siya, dala-dala niya yung practice na gano'n.
At saka yung megaphone that is Duterte. Parang, I just thought about this when I was listening to Pia. Yung kasing speeches ni Presidente are so casual and so informal. They're conversations. And as opposed to like an Aquino formal, maski Tagalog, it's a formal way of Tagalog, diba? Very structured. Previous presidents have that. Siya, he has conversations So it's not, so in a way, he's talking to them. And his ability to bounce back is also, I can attribute to that ability to actually just say it like it is, and then so maybe he changes his messaging. So wala siyang bureaucracy sa messaging niya Siya yung nagsiset ng editorial agenda niya sa messaging niya. So mabilis siya sa ganun. Kasi mayor nga siya, di ba?
So kahit na magulo yung kanyang speech at iba-ibang direksyon pumupunta.
Well, tanggap nila kasi.
Well, number one, it's very funny.
It's very kwento
Yeah, parang kwela siya, and then you always hear it from Duterte supporters saying that he's talking like someone I know personally, and I can relate to him, and refreshing sa kanila na if he talks like this, he probably cares about my issues too. He's probably going to fight for me because he's one of us.
Nabanggit niyo yung organic law, no? This is also one of the things na napasa under his administration in the past 3 years. And sinabi niya also that kasi MILF essentially yon, parang now he wants to bring in Nur Miswari and bring in the MNLF para hindi sila feeling excluded. Is this something that's positive, or is this something that you think is Nur is essentially irrelevant already, and then you're bringing him back on the national stage?
To be candid, I think pinagbibigyan lang niya si Nur. My suspicion is that he just wants to say things that will please the old man because they have personal ties. He knows, to the credit of the president, he really, I would like to believe, he really respects the autonomy of the Bangsamoro, and he will not. He'll keep a distance dun sa BARM. He will allow it to really take its course in terms of the processes within the autonomous region. And hindi niya ibabangga yung Nur Miswari issue kung tingin niya papalag talaga yung MI. But he figures what's there to in his practical mind, he knows kasi that Nur has Sulu, And then of course, Sulu essentially rejected the Bangsamoro law, except that they were forced to be part of it now in the region. So ano lang siya, in a way that's the political side of it. But he will not push it if he feels that it will complicate further the processes in BARM.
Do you anticipate obstacles or humps along the way? Kahit na we already have this organic law, which nga is a positive thing naman.
Yeah, I think part of the reason he's also like trying to listen to Noor is yun nga, yung Sulu, that's still a hotbed, that's still your most problematic area, and the fact nga ayaw nga nilang kasama. So kidnapping, it's something that I think will remain as a problem. It will probably worsen in the coming years. Yung conflict situation doon sa Sulu and Basilan, kasi porous pa rin ang borders mo, ganon, and it's not as if address yung poverty situation ng Sulu. And another Marawi, it will test the crisis management skills of the MI because now they're gonna govern. And so, ang kailangan iwasan, I anticipate, is another Marawi situation, lalo na kung ang rehab ng Marawi is talagang at a standstill despite all the pledges committed.
Okay, speaking of security pa rin, no? Duterte has been very aggressive on the war on drugs. Patuloy pa rin siya, and the killings have, well, according to our own reports, medyo nag-shift na siya. Pumupunta na sa Bulacan, pumupunta na sa Nueva Ecija, away from maybe Manila and the national capital region. Do you foresee that this will continue, that aggressive, kumbaga, there will be no let up in this campaign? Pia?
I think that barring any major controversy that is similar to the Kian de los Santos killing or the G.H. Ju murder, I think it will be as done before as it is being done now, because the president right now has, for me, shifted his attention to the leftist problem. Like if you listen to his speeches, it's the insurgency that he's really more worried about, and I think he thinks already that the drug campaign is a machine working by itself,
Yeah.
and he can kind of leave it there and focus on the insurgency, and at the same
Pero
time,
totoo ba yung insurgency? Isn't that a manufactured thing?
well, siguro in Mindanao, where he always talks about, like, he has this task force for ending the communist insurgency. He always says that he wants to parang rid the NPAs of their human resource. So he's wooing, like, for example, the IPs to go back to their communities, and he will give them free education, he will give them employment. So for him, it's a major problem, and even his security officials are agreed that it's something that he wants to stamp out, because it's like one of his security promises that he thinks is doable. He can actually do something about it before he steps down.
Pero pero nagkakaroon din ng red tagging, di ba? In fact, dun sa mga IPs, yun din yung fear. And isn't that something that's dangerous?
Definitely, because we also hear of journalists who are red tagged,
Yeah.
and human rights groups who are red tagged. So the worry now is, but that's precisely, you cannot. It's when you see Duterte doesn't really delineate between. He kind of uses that to crack down on his critics, and he already identifies the left as, trying to oust him. So the way he muddles things up, that's partly how he's able to quote unquote justify the crackdown on critics, because he thinks he projects it in such a way that these people are out to overthrow me and out to destabilize the government.
Human rights is one issue, no, na nire-raise in the international arena, especially sa United Nations, and all these non-governmental organizations and members of civil society groups have been trying to cast the spotlight on. Paterno, ano ba yung prospects nito sa ICC? Have you looked at this? Ano ba yung sinasabi ng people in the UN?
Well, sa ICC, tinitignan pa rin, tuloy pa rin yung preliminary, what do you call that?
Preliminary examination.
no, it's preliminary examination
Yes.
before it proceeds to a preliminary investigation.
Okay.
So, sinusuri pa ng International Criminal Court yung mga ebidensya so far kung it will merit a preliminary investigation. Pero marami rin nagsasabi na mabigat yung mga accusations against President Duterte, especially mula nung panahon na Davao Mayor siya at merong tinatawag na Davao Death Squad, 'di ba?
Yes.
Pero nagagalit si Pangulo dahil yung United Nations, yung mga experts, lalo na si Agnes Calamard, syempre, si Pangulong Duterte kasi mahilig siya dun sa mga verbal sparring eh. So, yung mga UN expert, pag nag-tweet yun, immediately magre-react si Pangulong Duterte. So, parang nare-reduce minsan dun sa verbal sparring yung issue na to. Pero talaga, meron talagang court proceedings na dapat inaabangan natin ngayon.
And mukhang this whole process will take some time.
Yes.
It's not like findings or yung investigation will start immediately and then within the year or next year meron nang magaganap.
Yes, and kailangan natin i-situate ito dun sa yung global context na yung International Criminal Court, kahit sa mga ibang bansa, marami na ring mga iba na nagwi-withdraw sa International Criminal Court dahil sinasabi nila na yun, medyo pare-pareho yung argument nila kay Pangulong Duterte na they don't have the right to interfere or this is useless, you don't have police power anyway. So, kailangan ma-situate din natin yan dun sa global context na yon na yung ICC, lalo na dun sa mga gobyerno na populist ang leadership, yung credibility ng ICC, inaatake nila eh. So, mahalaga din na maintindihan natin yan sa ganyang konteksto na tatagal yan at bukod sa tatagal, yung bang kung meron mang magiging desisyon yung ICC, yan ba ay gagalangin ng Pilipinas at gagalangin ng mga ibang bansa kagaya ng United States?
At saka, if I remember, parang ang sinasabi, dapat maipakita, pwedeng manghimasok or makialam ang ICC if all the processes in particular country, including the Philippines, the legal processes have been exhausted and walang nangyari. So, there's no other recourse but to go to the UN or the ICC.
Correct. So, kailangan mo nang patunayan na yung mga korte dito ay nako-opt na ng Duterte administration. Iba pang arena yan, bukod dun sa proving that President Duterte and his officials were behind killings. Yun bang mga justice system natin is working? That's another thing that they would have to prove before we can progress.
Pia, do you get the sense na this is yung kakalabasan sa ICC is something that the Duterte administration is worried about?
Definitely. It's something that he devoted his time to thinking of an argument for. So you can tell that it's something that is bugging him, something that annoys him, and I know that he's had briefings about it, like with a very select group, with Bongo, and then na-discuss doon yung possibility of him being arrested and sent to jail, and Bongo even said, "Oh, I will follow you to jail if ma-jail ka." So may mga discussions na ganun that he asks people what do we do, ano yung mga alternatives, ano yung options. So it's definitely something on his mind because if you're thinking of what legacy will he leave, if he's thinking of that, then the ICC case would definitely brand him already.
And sayang, di ba? Kasi yung kanyang major policy of his presidency and during the campaign, yun nga, naka-anchor sa the war on drugs. And then yun pa yung magiging cause nung conviction or what have you, di ba? Speaking of vulnerabilities, no? Parang, and I think we saw this even during the campaign dun sa for the senatorial elections, China has always been raised as an issue. And in fact, yung sinasabi ng iba, the opposition did not adequately exploited to their advantage. Ano ba yung latest developments on the involving the 22 fishermen and this boat sinking incident which has been in the headlines for the longest time?
So just a recap, no, nung June 9, binangga ng isang Chinese ship ang isang Filipino boat, ang FB Gemver, at lumubog yung bangka. Nalaman ng buong Pilipinas yung balita, June 12, Independence Day. Ang una nagsabi niyan si Defense Secretary Delphine Lorenzana. Kinondem ni Secretary Lorenzana yung pag-abandon ng mga Chinese fishermen dun sa mga Pilipino. Ngayon, ilang araw lumipas, si Pangulong Duterte very quiet until dumating nung sa 121st anniversary ng Philippine Navy. Sinabi ni Pangulong Duterte na yung nangyaring paglubog ng FB Gemver ay isang maritime incident. A little maritime incident. So medyo nagalit yung mga kritiko ni Pangulong Duterte, lalong nagalit kasi parang inuulit lang ni Pangulong Duterte yung argument ng Chinese Foreign Ministry that it is an ordinary maritime traffic accident. So lalo nang naging na-highlight itong weak spot ni President Duterte dito sa Recto Bank incident, yung sinasabi ng mga kritiko niya na bakit ba siya parang takot na takot sa China? Ano ba ang hawak sa kanya ng China? So, ito yung ngayong third anniversary ng pagkapangulo ni Pangulong Duterte. Ito yung isa sa mga big issues na kailangan niyang harapin talaga.
And how did this incident, or how does this incident reflect on the presidency, on leadership styles niya siguro? Parang meron ba kayong nahugot from what has happened so far, and yung behavior and reaction ng Malacanang and the president himself?
Pia first? Well, what we've seen so far is kalat yung responses. Like, as we already mentioned earlier, the messaging is something that Duterte has never had a grasp on. Ever since he was mayor, he never had a comms team to think about. It was just coming from him. So kumbaga yung mga cabinet members, wala masyadong messaging discipline that you can see. And so you can see so many contradictions that have confused the public. Si Duterte, because he never nga had a grasp on it, walang protocols on, how should we keep a consistent messaging on this regard. And I think
Walang
it's
hierarchy.
also, na parang wait for this person to speak first, or, diba? So, yun yung isang thing that we saw. Medyo kalat yung response. And another thing is, the president, parang we've been seeing kind of a selective outrage where he would respond with vitriol on a certain issue, even bring back historical injustices just to get back at the country that he's annoyed with. But when it comes to China, there's something about China that he cannot, it doesn't, it's an exception to his rule.
Okay.
So yun, we're still waiting to see, is it really just the economic promises? Is it just because he's waiting for these loans to bear fruit? Is he just waiting for the grants to come before he can go all out on China? Because we have to remember, he made a promise that he would bring up the Hague ruling before his presidency ends. And we're all still waiting. How will he do that?
And we're halfway.
Yeah, we're halfway. And isn't this incident the perfect time to do so? Because his advisors also say that, kasi we've also heard that he's been kind of pushing back on China the past few weeks, diba? Like dun sa pag-asa swarming tactics of Chinese militia, he actually spoke up and he said that I will never allow China to take Pag-asa Island, and I will even send suicide missions there to protect Pag-asa Island. So his advisors were saying, when we asked them to explain the sudden parang aggressive tone, they said that Duterte sets a red line when it comes to the welfare of Filipinos. If it's just fishing rights, if it's just like oil and gas, parang he can let it go. But if it comes to physical harm to Filipinos, then he will draw a red line. But this is exactly an incident where there was physical harm to Filipino fishermen, but we heard a very tame response from him. So now we're wondering, is he just waiting for something? Is he just waiting for China to say something, or what's he going to do in the next few days?
But Terno, anong reading mo? Were you surprised by the president's tame reaction?
Parang pang mayor pa rin yung response niya dito sa issue ng Rectobank. Parang hindi ko nakikita masyado yung appreciation para dun sa bigger picture. At ang bigger picture dito, yung claim ng China sa West Philippine Sea, parang ang understanding ng Pangulo ay may mga Pilipino na nabangga ng isang barkong Chino, at siguro ang nakikita kong kakalabasan, magtatrabaho yung gobyerno para mabigyan ng danyos yung mga mangingisda. Nung kinompute natin, sa story natin, ang nawala dun sa mga mangingisda ay 2 million pesos. So sabihin natin, nabigyan tayo ng 2 million pesos, o kung hindi man 2 million, 10 million, 20 million, okay na ba? Hindi. Kasi kailangan maintindihan natin yung bigger picture na parang hindi ko nakikita yan dun sa response ng Pangulo, na parang sinasabi niya maritime incident. Pero nasan doon yung understanding na ang China ay may mga pinapadalang mga maritime militia, na yung style ng maritime militia ay parang style nung tinatawag nating Davao Death Squad, na state-sponsored pero kunyari civilian, kunyari fisherman. Doon sa death squad, nasabi ng mga kritiko ng Pangulo, kunyari nakamotor lang, nakabonet, pero talaga pinadala ng mayor ng Davao. So, nasan yung ganong understanding doon sa conflict? Nasan din yung understanding na yung Rectobank ay may lamang huge reserves ng oil? Nasaan doon yung understanding na yun dun sa response ng Pangulo, pati na rin yung general claim ng China. Lalo na kasi nanalo tayo nung ruling July 2016. Ngayon, may mga nagkasabi na analyst na itong ginawa sa Rectobank ay parang tinetesting lang ng China kung ano yung magiging response ng Pilipinas. Kasi di ba ganun ang bully? Ang bully, una muna kukurutin ka. Kaya ka palang kurutin. Kung kaya kang kurutin, sunod, bibigwasan ka ng isa.
Nabully ka.
Nabully ka noon.
Kapag unti-unti, paunti-unti, hanggang sa, bugbugan na talaga. Ngayon, ano ba to? Kinurot ka lang ba muna? Sinuntok muna tayo? Isang sapak lang? Pero kapag hindi mo pinakita na ikaw ay matigas, ano na yung sunod? Baka
At kung
mamaya
hindi mo papahintulutan, kasi pinapahintulutan mo, di ba?
So yun, siguro masyadong pang mayor yung naging response so far ng Pangulo dito, na sinasabi na maritime incident ito. Nasaan yung understanding nung bigger picture, nung geopolitical implications nitong Rectobank incident?
Kasi walang nuancing si Pangulo pagdating sa policy. And yung issue na to, kailangan may nuancing ka in terms of anong klaseng sitwasyon yan, paano mo i-address yan. Hindi yan black and white. Pero tignan mo how he's looking at it. Gegerahin tayo ng China kung magre-react ako more aggressively than I am reacting now, which is really a false, di ba, as Justice Carpio said. Kasi hindi niya man-nuance yun . It's complex to him. It's not simple as drug war yan, papatayin ko yan, gano'n. So, unang-una yun, and to be candid about it, it requires medyo rigorous thinking yun . Kailangan i-convene mo ang foreign policy advisors mo, ang national security cluster mo. It requires, diba, debate and really a lot of options. I-table mo yung options mo, which is similar to what Pinoy did after, which led to the filing of the case against China in the past. Sabihin, that requires a lot of hard work and complex thinking. So, unang-una yun. Pangalawa, palagay ko, first presidential freeze to. Ayaw niyang aminin at hindi natin maririnig sa kanya. Nag-freeze si Presidente dito. Kasi patron niya ang China eh. Hindi naman to yung tipong nagkikintay siya. Ideologically aligned siya sa China ngayon eh. Yun ang tingin niya, kakampi niya si Xi Jinping. At if push comes to shove, kakampi sa kanya ang China. So, protector niya ang China. So, a lot is at stake. Pag ginulo mo yung relasyon na yan, it's not only a matter of investments, it's political. It's his survival in a way, di ba? So, nakaangkla, very strategic yung relationship niya sa China. So, kaya siya nag-freeze kasi hindi pwede to. Dahil isipin mo, may empathy si Presidente, di ba? Ibig mo sabihin, hindi siya natinag sa plight ng fisherman.
Exactly.
It's so uncharacteristic of him to not even go there. When in fact, ang daming nangyari na minor incidents na pupuntahan niya.
Yeah.
This one, he sends Alfonso Cusi, an energy secretary, who also champions China. Because, I mean, Cusi, anyway, ano yun?
For another discussion
For
yan.
another discussion yan. Si Cusi, dahil taga Mindoro siya. Pero,
Yes.
pang ilang araw si Cusi pumunta? Pangatlo? Or Sunday? Sunday, na-announce yun, June 12. Dumating ang cabinet secretary mo, papadala mo doon ng a few days. Nag-freeze ka. Hindi mo alam kung anong gagawin mo. Kailangan aminin ng gobyerno yon. Hindi nila alam ang ginawa nila. Kung anong gagawin nila. Why? Kasi China yun eh. Only the president can make that decision. So, nagkanya-kanya sila.
So, ibig sabihin, high stakes din talaga ang China, di ba? Parang, kumbaga, nag-weigh siguro sila ang pros and cons of challenging China, and of course, yung linya nga is, hindi natin kaya yung China. Pero di ba nagkaroon din ng cabinet, some sort of a cabinet meeting? So parang, yung sinasabi naman ni Glenda na, nag-freeze sila, nagkaroon ng meeting. Pero ano bang nangyari dun sa meeting na yun?
Okay.
Were
So,
there concrete
oo.
decisions?
Firstly, the cabinet,
Recommendations?
that meeting didn't even involve the president. It
Which
was
is
a
weird.
regular cluster meeting,
Yeah.
which was convened by two clusters of the cabinet team, Economic and Development Cluster and the Security, Justice and Peace Cluster. Wala din si Duterte at all. And ano siya, it's convened by the cabinet secretary, si Carlo Nograles. And si Nograles has been known to use such meetings as a way, as a PR mechanism to show that Malacanang is doing something. Kahit wala masyadong response na immediate. Like nung water crisis,
Yes.
same thing happened. Nagka-regular cluster meeting, tas it was supposed to be to solve the water crisis. Pero in the end, all the cluster could do was come up with long-term solutions to the water problems in general. So, hindi siya pala as urgently, parang the meeting never gave any urgent resolution to the shortage. So, same thing here. Parang it was more of a stopgap measure to show that, may ginagawa naman yung palasyo. Except that yung meeting only ended up deciding that we will give assistance to the fishermen. So, walang decision on how do we hold China, how do we, what's the next step now with the investigation. They just said that nagka-diplomatic protest na strongly worded, but wala
May
rin
kopya
namang
bang
press
binigay?
statement explaining that
Na
protest.
protest? Wala, di ba?
Tapos the next day, a few days after, there was a military and police command conference, but Recto Bank was not even discussed. Duterte was there and it was not discussed. He didn't give any marching orders to the military about it. So, yun.
Though it seemed like the defense establishment really raised yung option na patawagan si Ambassador. Diba, in that emergency meeting. And alam mo, dito mo rin makikita na medyo, yun na nga, iba-iba rin ang points of view ng cabinet, no? Mukhang may nag-leak talaga ng information from that meeting na o papatawagin si ano. And then eventually, Nograles denied it, di ba? Yung either
Denied.
summon
Si
or
Panelo.
invite, and then Panelo came out saying na hindi, wala talagang ganun. Pero may ganun nag-leak eh. So, may ganung palagay kong pag-uusap. Merong tinatawag natin siguro may hardline view dyan within the ano. Pero syempre, Commander-in-Chief si Presidente. So,
Huwag nating kalimutan. Siguro, in the last 3 years, damang-dama din natin yung threats on press freedom, di ba? ba? Parang kung merong ganong, yun na nga, kitang-kita naman yung pagiging strong ng Pangulo, very very verbal and attacking his perceived opponents, and kasama na doon ang media. What do you foresee happening in the last 3 years of this administration, given what we have seen so far?
With the press freedom issue, worrying for the reporters to hear in Duterte's interview with Pastor Quiboloy, he said that, hindi na lang ako magpapa-media interview, I can just do these interviews with Pastor Quiboloy. So, and then recently, there has been not a lot of transparency about his schedule. The media aren't informed as regularly about his speeches beforehand. So, yun yung isang worry. And then, of course, we have the looming ABS-CBN franchise renewal, which Duterte has repeatedly said he would not approve if it was up to him. So,
March 2020 yun, di ba?
Yun. So, and so yun yung siguro most pressing thing for the media now. That's what people are waiting for.
So what do you
Well,
foresee?
in my imagined world, the Supreme Court will rule in favor of Rappler and lift the ban on Tierra Nada, covering Malacanang. That's in my imagined world, diba?
Yes, and ask
Oo.
questions.
But yeah, seriously, the attacks will continue. Ganun naman yan. Di naman, nasa playbook naman yun. Hindi naman, wala naman incentive si Presidente para hindi ituloy yung attacks eh. So far, as far as he's concerned, it's working. Tuloy lang, pero tuloy din naman. I think ang magbabago yung media environment, yung media landscape, yung pagkakaisa ng mga journalists. Mas compared to 3 years ago, mas nagkakaisa tayo, nakita naman natin. Mas siguro, mas firmer ang resolve natin to really survive and outlast a 6-year presidential term. And then, so, baka dun pa yung mas positive na, mas hopeful ako dun sa aspect ng industriya.
At saka, in connection to Rectobank, press
Yes.
freedom in Rectobank,
Yes.
nakita ko
Na-connect mo yun, ha?
ngayong mga nakaraang araw, yung mga reporters, mas marami ng reporters ang nagpo-pushback pagdating sa facts. Dahil dito sa Rectobank incident, medyo minsan in your face naman talaga yung mga kasinungalingan eh. At makikita mo na yung maraming mga journalist na nagko-cover nito, talagang mas nagiging matapang, mas nagiging sharp sa pag-call out na ito ay nag-contradict
Yung mga inconsistencies.
inconsistencies, ito ay posibleng nagsinungaling, na dati, syempre kung mga mas malamyang mga issue na hindi ganun ka in your face, ay siguro mas naglalaro pa yung mga iba sa safe side. Pero ngayon makikita mo na mas nagiging mapangahas yung ibang mga reporter. I think ito yung bright side nitong Rectobank incident. At mako-connect din natin yan dun sa thought leader piece ni Ma'am Glenda na ito ay parang reality check ng Pangulo na itong Rectobank incident medyo nagiging epiphany siya in many ways. Kabilang dyan, yung media, na kapag naharapan mo ng mga in-your-face lies, katulad dito sa Rectobank incident, how is the media dealing with the president? So ito, parang nagiging game changer din ng kaunti talaga itong Rectobank incident, even when it comes to press freedom.
Okay. Maraming salamat sa inyong inputs. 3 taon pa ng Pangulong Duterte ang ating patuloy na susubaybayan, at napakahalaga talaga ng papel ng media. He's a president of contradictions, and lalong dapat siyang tutukan siguro, and kahit na increasing ang threats sa media, and he can be as tough-talking and even intimidating, a free, a democratic country will remain democratic only if there is a press that remains aggressive and watchful. Thank you very much for watching Newsbreak Chats. Hanggang sa susunod na buwan, I'm Chai Hofilenia.